In today's video, we're going to talk about some of the exciting storylines and make some predictions for groups A through C in the upcoming AFCON 2023 tournament. If you're interested in this type of content, please leave a like, leave a share. If this video does well, or if it doesn't, I'm going to post groups D through F soon. Also, I'm in the middle of creating a longer video that will go into the story of Côte d'Ivoire and its footballing history and its heritage and the Civil War, everything that went on with that, and drug bust. So if you think you'd like that type of content, consider leaving a follow. And with that, let's get into the video. I will say I'm a little late editing this video, so Côte d'Ivoire already played their first game, but it goes along with what I kind of predicted. I predicted 3-0, and they won 2-0, so it's kind of similar. But first, we're going to get into the different team profiles and look into the players to watch. The first nation to talk about is Côte d'Ivoire, which is the host nation for this tournament. And I think the expectation really should be that they should be winning the tournament. And I think that's what their expectation is, especially with it being in Côte d'Ivoire. Like, the expectation should be to win, especially after disappointing last AFCON going out in the round of 16 to Egypt. Their two-time champion last time was with Yaya Touré in 2015. They're coming in on a decent run of form with some wins over the Seychelles, Gambia, and Sierra Leone. And they got a bunch of talent. This is a stacked roster. They got Serge Aurier, Seko Fofana, Jonathan Bamba, Sebastian Aller, Ibrahim Sangare. But I think the player that is most to watch is a 20-year-old center back out of Sporting Lisbon, Ousmane Diomande, who's been doing great for Sporting Lisbon this season. I think he could really be their difference maker. Equatorial Guinea was one of the most intriguing stories out of last edition of AFCON. They made the quarterfinals, which was quite a shock coming from. They had a pretty low rank, probably in the hundreds at that time. Now they're around rank 88. And I think the expectation should be make the quarterfinal again. Their best result was 4th place in 2015. They're on a decent run of form right now. What I think is interesting is that Equatorial Guinea is actually the only predominantly Spanish-speaking country in all of Africa. They also have some pretty good talent. They have Saul Coco, center back for Las Palmas in La Liga. They have Iban Salvador, which is a good striker. They also have Jose Machin, which is a midfielder playing for Monza in Serie A. And they also have Emilio Ensue, who is their captain, who is somebody to look out for. The biggest underdog in this group is going to be Guinea-Bissau, so they'll probably be competing with Equatorial Guinea for that third spot unless Equatorial Guinea manages to pull off an upset. They've never made it out of the group stage, so their goal should be to get to the round of 16 at least. In the recent run of form in World Cup qualification, they beat Djibouti 1-0 and also had a 1-1 draw versus Burkina Faso, but lost 2-6 against Mali. So there's definitely some questions going on with this team. Some of their notable players include Fali Kande, Carlos Gomez, and Mama Balde, who is the player to watch out for. He's definitely a good talent as he plays for Lyon in France and has been doing well this season, so he's definitely a difference maker. The final team in Group A is Nigeria, who have a ton of expectations. Just like Côte d'Ivoire, their expectations should be to become champion, as they have already 3 times, although in recent AFCONs they did not do very well. In 2021, they went out in the round of 16. Losing to Tunisia, and they've had a questionable run of form going into the tournament with draws against Lesotho and Zimbabwe. But also, they probably have one of the most, if not the most talented roster coming into AFCON. They have Victor Osimhen, Ademola Lookman, Samuel Chukwueze, Frank Onyeka, Alex Iwobi, and I think the player to watch out for is Terem Moffi, who currently plays at Nice in Ligue 1. He only recently got the call-up because the Bayer Leverkusen striker Victor Boniface was injured right before the tournament, so he got a call-up last minute. But I think this guy's honestly quality, so I think he's possibly, if he gets to start, if he's up there with guys like Ademola Lookman, Victor Osimhen, if he gets in there, then he could do very well, especially like teams getting going like Equatorial Guinea, Guinea-Bissau. I'm looking for him to have a breakout tournament if he could get some minutes. For predicting the games, for the first game, I predict Côte d'Ivoire to win 3-0 over Guinea-Bissau, and I'm predicting Nigeria to win 2-1 over Equatorial Guinea. I think Cote d'Ivoire and Nigeria will draw 2-2 in the second game, and Equatorial Guinea will draw 1-1 with Guinea-Bissau. In the final game, I think Cote d'Ivoire will beat Equatorial Guinea 2-1, and I think Nigeria will beat Guinea-Bissau 3-1. For the final group standings, I have Cote d'Ivoire going through first, Nigeria second, Equatorial Guinea third on 1 point, and then Guinea-Bissau fourth on 1 point. Although Equatorial Guinea had a good last AFCON, I don't think they could compete with Cote d'Ivoire and Nigeria, who just have a ton of talent, and the roster for Equatorial Guinea is getting older. Moving on to Group B, we have Cape Verde, who boasts an impressive 73 in the world rankings. They came off a mixed result at the last AFCON, going out in the round of 16 to Senegal 0-2. I think their goal should be to get to around the quarterfinal this time around. They have some impressive talent, including Bebe Thiago Correa, a forward for Rayo Vallecano in La Liga, Jovan Cabral, who plays in Italy, and Logan Costa, who plays for Toulouse in Ligue 1. I couldn't find a picture of Logan Costa in his Cape Verde uniform, so I used a picture of Jovan Cabral. Next in Group B is Egypt, who have expectations to win the AFCON title this year after coming in second place against Sadio Mane's Senegal in 2021. Egypt has been in good form as of late, with wins over Djibouti, Sierra Leone, and Tanzania. The storyline going into this AFCON is definitely that Mohamed Salah needs to win an AFCON. Egypt hasn't won the tournament since 2010, and this might be Salah's last chance to really lead the team to victory. Other players include Mohamed El-Neni, Ahmed Higazi, and a promising player in Omar Marmoush, who plays for Frankfurt in the Bundesliga. Ghana is the other powerhouse in Group B. With a world rank of 61, the AFCON expectation should be to get around the semifinal. With Ghana, it's actually kind of difficult to judge whether they're good or bad, because it seems like when they're on bad form, they might suddenly turn up and get a bunch of wins and go far in the tournament, but when they have high expectations, they usually crumble. One example is that they went out in the group stage of the last AFCON, but then they went and qualified for the World Cup, beating Nigeria in the final round, and then went on to beat South Korea at the World Cup. Ghana are 4-time champions, but hasn't won since 1982, and they come into the tournament on shaky form. Ghana beat Madagascar, but lost to Comoros in their last 2 World Cup qualifying games. Notable players include the Ayew brothers, Mohamed Salisu, and Mohamed Kudus. This is an especially important tournament for Mohamed Kudus, as he looks to stamp his name as one of the greats in African football. The final team in Group B is Mozambique, making their first return to the tournament since 2010. With a world rank of 111, there's not a ton of expectations, but the expectations should be to get around the round of 16. In recent World Cup qualifiers, they beat Botswana but lost to Algeria. Some notable players include Geni Katamo, who plays for Sporting Lisbon, Dominguez, a 40-year-old midfielder who's currently playing in Zimbabwe and was a part of the team when they last qualified in 2010. The best player on the team and the player to watch is definitely Renildo Mandava, who plays left back for Atletico Madrid and who is Mozambique's best player. For my group stage predictions, I have Egypt beating Mozambique 3-1, a 0-0 draw between Ghana and Cape Verde, a 2-2 draw between Egypt and Ghana, a 2-0 win for Cape Verde over Mozambique, a 2-1 win for Egypt over Cape Verde, and then a 1-0 win for Ghana over Mozambique. This would lead to Egypt finishing first, Cape Verde finishing second, Ghana third, and Mozambique fourth. I think Ghana will still qualify for the next round in third place. And if this happens, they definitely have a good chance of knocking off a team that finished first in their group. The first team in Group C is the 5-time champion Cameroon with a world rank of 46. Cameroon was able to qualify for the last World Cup and even beat Brazil. In the recent World Cup qualifying games, they defeated Mauritius but drew to Libya. In the last AFCON, they were defeated in the semifinals by Egypt, and I think their expectations should be around the semifinals this year as well. There's a lot of controversy in this group, and Cameroon is no exception. Most of the controversy surrounds Andre Onana, who will miss the first game against Guinea due to Premier League commitments to play in the game between United and Spurs. This follows the World Cup where he was sent home early for falling out with the manager over tactics. It'll be interesting to see if this comes back to hurt Cameroon because Guinea's not a bad team, so they could be able to get a win if they have a weak goalkeeper. Notable players for Cameroon include Andre Onana, Andre Frank Zambo Anguissa, and longtime striker Vincent Aboubakar, who is the player to watch. He's going to have to shoulder a lot of responsibility this tournament because there's no Choupo-Moting and no Mbeumo, so it's basically him leading the line by himself. The next team in Group C is the Gambia, which is kind of interesting because Senegal is also in this group. And if you look at a map, Gambia is literally inside Senegal. But Gambia at the last AFCON was one of the surprises, finishing in the quarterfinals. At the last AFCON, they defeated Guinea in the round of 16, but lost to Cameroon in the quarterfinals, which is ironic seeing that both teams are in this group now. If I had to pick a group of death, it'd probably be Group C. The storyline surrounding the Gambia is that on their way to Cote d'Ivoire, their plane had an issue with oxygen, forcing an emergency landing just 9 minutes after takeoff. Passengers suffered from extreme dizziness and headaches, and there was almost a potential tragedy as many players fell unconscious and were nearly poisoned by carbon monoxide. Also in the news is that there was an alleged almost boycott of AFCON over unpaid bonus wages, but it appeared that these issues have been resolved, at least temporarily. Some notable players include Abdoulaye Diallo, Omar Cully, and probably the most notable is the 19-year-old Yankuba Minta, who plays for Feyenoord in the Eredivisie. The next team in Group C is Guinea, with a surprisingly low rank of 80 in the world rankings. In their most recent World Cup qualifiers, they beat both Uganda and Botswana. Guinea has a surprisingly good roster for their rank, and I think they have potential to be one of the dark horses in this tournament. At the last AFCON, they finished in the round of 16, but I think this AFCON they should aim for about the semifinals. Some notable players include Mukhtar Diakabi, Naby Keita, who played for Liverpool and is now at Werder Bremen, and the player to watch is definitely Serhou Guirassy, who has been dominating the Bundesliga this season. The final team in Group C in this video is Senegal. With a world rank of 20 and being the previous AFCON champions, their expectation is definitely to go for a repeat. Senegal also reached the knockout stages at the World Cup before losing 3-0 to England. In recent form, they drew to Togo but defeated South Sudan in World Cup qualifiers. Some notable players include Sadio Mane, Edouard Mendy, and I think the player to watch is Nicholas Jackson. Jackson is in a similar space to somebody like Mohamed Kudus, where a good tournament would solidify them as one of the best African players at the moment. For Group C, my prediction is that Guinea will beat Cameroon 3-2. Senegal will draw 1-1 with Gambia. Cameroon and Senegal will draw 1-1. Guinea will beat Gambia 3-1. Cameroon will beat Gambia 2-0, and Senegal will beat Guinea 2-1. Guinea will top the group with 6 points. Senegal will come in second with 5. Cameroon third with 4, and Gambia fourth with 1.